I'm 29. I manage a team of 23 people, oversee projects worth several $1,000,000, and usually have a pretty good idea of what's happening around me. Which made it especially unpleasant to discover that the woman I had spent 2 years believing was the calmest girlfriend on the planet had actually been one extremely well-organized, jealous lunatic the entire time. Not dangerous, not knives, GPS trackers, or photos on the wall connected by red string. At least, I hadn't seen any red string yet. But at 8:12 on Monday morning, my ex-girlfriend was standing beside the window in my office, calmly informing me that she knew which days of the week I usually skipped breakfast. We hadn't dated in a year and a half. I set my bag on the chair. "Claire," she turned, light-colored coat, shoulder-length dark hair, gray eyes, minimal makeup. The same calm smile I once interpreted as evidence of almost supernatural emotional stability. I was beginning to reconsider. "Good morning, Nathan. What are you doing here?" "Waiting for you." I gathered that. I looked at the clock. "How did you get into my office?" "Your assistant opened it." "Why?" Claire tilted her head slightly. "Because we have a meeting." I took out my phone, opened my calendar. "No, we don't. We do now." At 8:30 there was, in fact, a new meeting. Vendor integration strategy. Bennett Consulting. I looked at her again. "Bennett Consulting." "Yes." "Your firm?" "Yes." "You're the new contractor on Pierce Retail?" "Yes." Pause. "You knew it was my project," Claire answered calmly. "Yes." "Before your firm accepted the contract?" Another tiny pause. "Yes." I nodded. "Now this is getting interesting." She smiled. "I missed you." Just like that. Not, "How have you been?" Not, "Long time." No. A year and a half after the breakup. 8:12 in the morning. "I missed you." I took off my jacket, hung it up. "Coffee?" Claire pointed toward my desk. There was already a cup sitting there. I looked at it. "You bought this?" "Yes." I picked it up, took a sip. No sugar, a little milk. Exactly mine. "You still remember?" "Of course. It's been a year and a half." "Your taste hasn't changed." "How do you know?" She looked at the cup. "Guessed." I knew right then that she was lying. I just didn't have time to investigate. There was a knock at the door. My assistant Olivia leaned in. "The team's in the conference room." "I'm coming." Claire picked up her folder, walked past me, then stopped, looked at my tie. "Blue." "Yes. You usually wear that one for important Monday meetings." I slowly turned my head. "Claire." "What?" "We haven't lived together in 18 months. She smiled. "Your habits didn't have to disappear with the relationship. That is not comforting." "I wasn't trying to comfort you." And she walked out. I stood alone, looked at the coffee, then the door. And for the first time I thought, maybe my best friend Jake had been right, which happened rarely enough to be concerning. I had worked at Hawthorne and Pierce for almost 6 years. Started as an analyst, then led a small team, then became an operations lead. For the last 2 years, I'd been operations manager. I liked the work, not corporate politics, not pointless meetings. But I liked taking a chaotic system and making it function. My team handled launches for major client projects, new processes, vendors, logistics, support teams, budgets, deadlines. If a project was on fire, people usually called me. I wasn't the CEO, I didn't own the company, and I definitely did not arrive at work in a Lamborghini. I had a good sedan, a mortgage on a normal condo, and too many suits. That was enough. I met Claire 3.5 years earlier. She was a strategy consultant at the time. We met at a conference, spent most of the evening arguing about one speaker's presentation. I invited her to dinner. She said yes. We dated for 2 years, and during those 2 years, Claire almost never raised her voice. No major scenes, no public meltdowns. If another woman flirted with me at a party, Claire might stand nearby drinking wine and look completely calm. Once, I asked, "Do you ever get jealous?" She said, "Should I?" "No." "Then we're fine." I thought it was unbelievably mature. Now I was beginning to review the archive. We didn't break up because of cheating or some massive argument. Quite the opposite, probably too calmly. During the final months, I felt distance. Claire became quieter, worked more, talked less about the future. I asked, "Everything okay?" She always answered, "Yes." One night after dinner, I asked directly, "Do you even want to keep doing this?" She looked at me for a long time, then said, "If you don't want to anymore, I'll understand. It sounded like she didn't care. That hurt. So I said, then maybe we shouldn't. She answered, okay, and that was it. She packed some things, picked up the rest a week later, didn't cry in front of me, didn't ask me to stay. We barely spoke for the next year and a half. I concluded Claire had simply left the relationship emotionally before I did. As I eventually learned, that was one of the most inaccurate interpretations of my life. The meeting went professionally, which was also irritating. Claire was an excellent consultant, clear numbers, good questions, no personal drama. At the end, she said, I suggest a separate vendor session this week. I said, Thursday 2. You usually have weekly review at 2. I stopped. No one on the team noticed. It's at 3 now. Claire calmly. Then 2. Afterward, I texted Jake. Claire is working on my project. His response came 20 seconds later. Ha 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 ha. Me. Very mature. Does she still want you? She brought my coffee this morning. 3 dots. Then, brother. What? This is the same, she literally never gets jealous, Claire. Yes. You are about to learn some things. I didn't reply. Because at 11, HR sent another email. New hire introduction. Maya Reynolds, Brand Partnerships Manager. I stared at the name for 5 seconds, then opened the profile. Photo. No mistake. Maya Reynolds, my other ex. You have got to be kidding me. Olivia looked in. What? Nothing. I stood, went to HR. Samantha, the HR director, was in her office. You have a minute? Sure. Maya Reynolds, new partnerships manager. Yes. You know her? We dated. Samantha smiled. Professionally? No. The smile vanished. Oh. Exactly. I sat. How directly will our roles overlap? Quite a bit on Pierce Retail. Then I want the conflict documented. She nodded. Good. Her performance review cannot run through me. Compensation decisions either. We can do that. We can work on the same projects if necessary, but formal management should be under another director. Reasonable. I stood. Samantha said, Nathan. Yeah? Did it end well? I thought about Maya. Relatively. That doesn't sound confident. She isn't going to set the office on fire. Good start. Maya had been my girlfriend before Claire. We dated about 10 months. Absolute opposite personality. If Claire felt 10 emotions and showed 1, Maya felt 1 emotion and showed 15. If I didn't answer for 2 hours, where were you? Meeting. I already invented 4 scenarios. What kind? 2 involved a hospital. And the other 2? Not important. If she got jealous, that woman was flirting with you. Yes. I don't like her. Okay. You're not going to argue? Why? You don't like her. She could get angry in a second, then be completely normal 5 minutes later. We only broke up because she got an excellent job in another city. I was in the middle of an important career move. Neither of us wanted to ask the other to sacrifice. We tried distance, 3 months, realized it wasn't working, ended it. It hurt, but there was no hatred. The last time I had seen her was almost 3 years earlier. On Tuesday, Maya walked into the conference room. I was there early, reviewing the presentation. The door opened. She walked in. Her dark brown hair was shorter now. Business suit. Same brown eyes. She saw me. Stopped. No. I smiled. Hi, Maya. No. Very professional. She put down her laptop. Of every company in this city. I worked here first. Exactly why this is your fault. She came closer, looked at me, then suddenly hugged me. I hugged her back. She stepped away, looked me up and down. You got even better looking. Thank you. That's irritating. You look good too. She frowned. Don't say it calmly. Why? I was prepared to be angry. I can repeat it nervously. Don't. She laughed. That was something I had always loved about Maya. With her, you almost never had to guess the temperature of the room. Almost. The door opened again. Claire walked in, and the temperature actually seemed to drop 5 degrees. Claire stopped. Maya turned. They only knew each other through stories and photographs. Claire. Maya. Maya. Claire. I closed the laptop. I already disliked Tuesday. Claire walked closer, held out her hand. I've heard a lot. Maya shook it. Same. Pause. Maya asked. Good things? Claire. Not all. I said, wonderful. Let's start the meeting. The first 2 weeks were basically a comedy. Fortunately, both women were professionals. The work didn't suffer. Everything else became a competition nobody officially declared. Wednesday morning, I walked into my office. Coffee on the desk. 1 minute later, Maya entered holding another coffee. Saw the first. What's that? Claire was sitting in a chair near the window. Coffee. I can see that. Then why ask? Maya looked at her own cup, then mine. I walked between them. Why do I have 2 coffees? Maya. Choose. No. I took both. Now I have 2. Claire. That's not an answer. That is the perfect answer. Maya. Coward. Manager. At lunch, my phone buzzed. Claire. You haven't eaten. Me. How do you know? It's 1:24. And? After 1:20, you start answering emails faster when you skip lunch. I stared at the screen. Typed. We haven't lived together in a year and a half. She answered. I remember. 5 minutes later, my office door opened. Maya. Come eat. Why? You're hungry. I looked at the ceiling. What is wrong with you people? Nothing is wrong with me. Maya said it. My phone buzzed. Claire. And eat actual food, not a protein bar. I showed Maya. She read it. Oh. What? She's worse than I thought. Thanks. That was a compliment. A week later, Jake came over for dinner. I told him everything. He sat across from me looking happier than I had seen him in months. Both exes work near you? Yes. Both want you? I don't know. Liar. I suspect. And Claire is secretly insane? I wouldn't use that terminology. Why? I'm a manager. I prefer elevated, covert emotional investment. Jake nearly choked. That is the best corporate phrase for yandere I've ever heard. She is not a yandere. My phone buzzed. Claire. Don't forget, dentist tomorrow at 8:15. I froze. Jake noticed. What? I showed him. He started laughing. Brother. I never told her about the dentist. Calendar? Personal. And she's still not a yandere? I typed. How do you know? Claire. You booked it when we were still together. You postponed twice. Me. You remember a dentist appointment from 18 months ago? Her. Yes. Jake saw the answer. I'm leaving. Why? I don't want to end up on a list. What list? He was already putting on his jacket. Exactly. The real reveal happened during lunch with all 3 of us, which was already a terrible idea. But the project required us to discuss the partnership's budget. We were sitting at a restaurant near the office. Maya was talking about the client. Then the server left. Maya suddenly said, Remember Allison? I looked at her. Which Allison? The blonde from your old office. Vaguely. Claire calmly said, She worked in analytics. I turned toward her. How do you know that? Claire took a sip of water. You mentioned her. I never told you her name. Pause. Maya was already smiling. Claire said, Maybe I saw it on social media. When? Back then. Why? Claire looked at me. She liked every photo you posted for 4 months. I froze. Maya slowly asked, Every one? Claire, almost. I said, You counted? No. Pause. Approximately. Maya put down her fork. Oh my God. I stared at Claire. You told me you weren't jealous. She calmly answered. No. You did. I said I don't make scenes. That isn't the same thing? Not remotely. Maya started laughing. Claire looked at her. What? Nothing. Nathan spent 3 years telling me you were the chillest woman on earth. I said, Don't help. Maya. She was running competitive analysis on women around you. Claire. I was not running analysis. How many followers did Allison have? Claire went silent. I said, Claire. She replied, I don't remember. Maya. She's lying. Claire. Around 2,000. Maya leaned back. I love her. No, I said. Both looked at me. Do not encourage each other. Claire shrugged. I never did anything bad, which, to be fair, was true. She never threatened Allison, never messaged her, never interfered. She simply collected information that no normal person would ever think to collect. Then other things started surfacing. Once I asked, "Remember that restaurant on 8th? Yes. You always wanted the corner table. Yes. Because it was quieter? She looked at me. No. Why? You could see the entire room from there. I already knew the answer. Asked anyway. For what? To see who was looking at you. I closed my eyes. Maya, sitting nearby, said, "Magnificent." Maya. What? I'm starting to respect the system. Claire said, "Thank you." Don't thank her. At this point, the title Chill X had officially died. But something else bothered me more. Why had I never seen any of this? The answer came later. The project started burning. Pierce Retail was one of the largest launches of the year. Our company was rolling out a new client platform across several regions. 3 weeks before launch, the primary vendor told us they would miss the deadline, not by 2 days, by 3 weeks, which meant near certain failure. At 5 that evening, leaders from 4 divisions sat in my conference room. I stood beside the whiteboard. Okay, what do we know for certain? One person said, "This is a disaster." That's an assessment. Give me facts. 20 minutes later, the picture was clear. Part of the delivery could be split. Part could move to another supplier. The client could be offered a phased launch. I assigned work. Claire took alternative vendors. Maya took client negotiations. I handled internal teams and timeline restructuring. For the next 5 days, we practically lived in the office. At 2 in the morning, Claire sat in front of 3 screens, speaking to a supplier in another state. Maya was on a call with the client. I was rebuilding the team schedule. Eventually, Maya ended the call, sat on the couch, said, 5 minutes. 2 minutes later, she was asleep. Claire stood, took off her coat, covered Maya with it. I watched. I thought you hated each other. Claire returned to her laptop. I don't hate her. What is it then? She kept typing. She loves you too. It's irritating. I froze. Very healthy admission. I'm working on myself. 20 minutes later, Maya woke up, looked at the coat, then Claire. This you? You were cold. You're getting soft. Tell nobody. I said, already witnessed. Both, quiet. The crisis unexpectedly made us an excellent team. Claire found another vendor. Not just the first available one. She negotiated a reasonable price and actual guarantees. Maya convinced the client to split the rollout into 2 phases, without making it sound like a failure. I rebuilt operations. The team pulled it off. By Friday evening, we finally knew we weren't going to fail. People started leaving. Maya left first. I stayed to sign documents. Claire was still there. The office was quiet. I asked, "Why did you accept this project?" She didn't look up. Interesting work. Claire? Her fingers stopped. I stood beside the desk. Real answer. She closed the laptop. Was quiet for several seconds. Because you were here. Why? I wanted to see you. After a year and a half? Yes. Why not just text me? Claire smiled without humor. Because you could have said no. That did not sound like the Claire I remembered. And? She looked straight at me. I still love you. It wasn't surprising. Not anymore. But the directness still hit hard. I suspected. She gave a small laugh. Of course. You brought coffee. That counts as evidence? For you, practically a proposal. For the first time, she laughed normally, then became serious again. I never stopped. I sat across from her. Then why did we break up? She looked away. Because I'm an idiot. More specific. You asked if I wanted to continue. Yes. I wanted to say, please don't leave. Silence. And instead, if you don't want to, I'll understand. Claire nodded. Why? She was quiet for a long time. My parents separated 4 times. I knew that. We rarely discussed it. My father would leave, then come back. My mother always pretended she didn't care. Claire looked at her hands. I decided I would never be the woman who begged a man to stay. So I became the woman who hid fear so well that the man assumed I didn't care about the relationship at all. I exhaled. Claire. I know. After we broke up, she smiled. You want the truth? Yes. I went home, closed the door, cried for 2 days. I stared. Told nobody? Of course. Then, worked. Dated? Tried. And? One man chewed so loudly I compared him to you. For chewing? You chew normally. Very romantic. She laughed, then became serious. I compared everyone to you. I did not immediately cross the room and kiss her. Didn't promise we would fix everything. Because loving someone and knowing how to be with them are different things. I still feel something for you. Claire froze. But. Of course there's a but. I don't want the old relationship. She nodded. Neither do I. I don't want to ask if you're okay and hear yes while there's a fire inside. Okay? And your version of jealousy? A tiny smile. Elevated covert emotional investment? I looked at her. Jake told you? He texted Maya. Why are they texting? I have no idea. That became another problem. Maya confessed 3 days later, much more simply. We were having dinner after work. She was eating pasta. Suddenly, I still want you. I put down my fork. I figured. Very obvious? Maya. Fine, she exhaled. And I think I still love you. Think? Don't. I waited. She closed her eyes. Fine, I love you. Better. Do you force women to verbalize everything on purpose? Saves years, she laughed, then looked at me. You still have feelings for Claire. Not a question. Yes. For me? Yes. Maya went quiet. Wonderful. Not really. I come back to the city and within 2 weeks I'm in a love triangle with your secret yandere. Don't call her that. She knows when you go to the dentist. Strong point. The problem was obvious. I really did love both of them. Differently. With Claire, there was depth. Quiet compatibility. We could sit for an hour without speaking. She understood how I thought. Maya was fire. Funny. Direct. Life around her became louder. And over the years, she had matured considerably. Less impulsive. Better at pausing before reacting. I didn't want to choose through competition. Unfortunately, the competition was increasing. Claire booked a restaurant for Friday. Maya the day before. Saturday, concert. Claire. He has work in the morning. He can decide. Then both looked at me. Eventually, I'd had enough. The three of us were at my place. Maya was arguing over who knew my Thai order better. Claire said, he doesn't like food too spicy in the evening. Maya, he used to. Claire, then he sleeps badly. I said, stop. Both went silent. Extremely rare event. I put down my glass. I'm not a trophy. Maya immediately started. We're not. That is exactly what's happening. Claire lowered her eyes. I'm not running a competition. Silence. If I decide to get back together with one of you, the other has to respect that. Maya tensed. If I can't decide, I stay single. Claire. Nathan. And one more thing. Stop using me as a battlefield. Neither spoke. I continued. No coffee competitions. Maya. That's minor. It's a symptom. Oh. No accidentally booking the same evening. Claire. Once. Maya. 3. Claire looked at her. You counted? Maya. Learning from the best. I said, exactly. Both women unexpectedly started laughing. Some tension left the room. I love both of you. Now it became completely silent. I rarely use that word. But that's exactly why I'm not allowing this to become a contest. Claire quietly. Okay. Maya. Okay. And then something happened I absolutely did not expect. They started talking without me. At first about work, then not only work. I learned because one day Maya said, Claire and I are getting dinner tomorrow. Why? To talk. About me? Maybe. That's alarming. Good. They actually met. Later, Maya gave me part of the summary. She asked Claire, you love him? Claire, yes. Me too. I know. Wonderful. Terrible. Maya, we could draw straws. Claire, I'd switch them. Maya, you serious? Claire, joke. Pause. Mostly. They talked for 3 hours, not only about me, work, previous relationships, fear. Maya admitted that in the past, when she feared losing someone, she grabbed tighter. Claire admitted she did the exact opposite. Turns out, they were two extremes of the same problem. Within weeks, I noticed a new dynamic. They stopped acting like enemies, started cooperating. This was worse. I'd say, Chinese food? Both, simultaneously. No. I looked at them. Claire, you get heartburn. Maya, and order it anyway. I hate this coalition. Maya, it's still forming. Claire, don't resist. I said, that sounded very yandere. Claire smiled. Finally admitted it. One evening, both showed up at my place. No warning. I opened the door. Claire, Maya. I looked at them. No. Maya. What do you mean no? Why are both my exes at my house? Claire, we need to talk. The last time my two exes said we need to talk, my weekend schedule was analyzed. Maya, this is worse. Excellent. They came inside, sat on the couch. I stayed standing. Maya said, sit. No. Claire, why? Self-preservation. Maya, Nathan. I sat in the chair opposite them. Go ahead. Claire looked at Maya. Maya said, we've been thinking. Already dangerous. What if the problem is that someone has to lose? I understood almost immediately, still made them say it. Continue. Claire said, we're not proposing anything right now. Good. Only talking about it. About what? Maya looked directly at me. An option where you don't choose one of us. Silence. I leaned back. You both understand what you're suggesting? Claire, for now we're only suggesting a conversation. Okay? It may have been the most adult and simultaneously strangest conversation of my life. I said immediately, I'm not agreeing to a structure where you tolerate each other only because of me. Claire, agreed. Maya, same. I don't want secret rules. Okay? I don't want one of you believing the other is the primary relationship. Claire, okay? I don't want work relationships becoming dependent on personal relationships. Maya, already formally separated. Yes. I looked at Claire, and no investigations into every woman who talks to me. She went quiet. Claire, how much counts as an investigation? Maya folded in half, laughing. I closed my eyes. This, exactly this. Claire, fine, no investigations. No checking phones. Never did. No trying to learn passwords. Silence. I looked at her. Claire, I knew one once. How? You entered it beside me. Forget it. It's different now. How do you know? Maya said, I want to go home. Claire actually looked guilty. I happened to see it. Fantastic. Maya. Secret yandere officially confirmed. I said, stop helping, but the conversation remains serious. What happens when someone gets jealous? Say it. If the structure stops working for someone, say it. No pressure, no obligation to spend time as three. Each relationship needed to exist independently. Mine with Claire, mine with Maya, and whatever relationship developed between them. Maya said, I don't know what I feel toward Claire yet besides occasionally wanting to strangle her. Claire, mutual. Maya smiled. See? Compatibility. We decided not to label anything immediately, just try. My first date with Claire after 18 months was strange. I picked her up. She came outside. Gray dress. She looked slightly more nervous than usual. You're nervous? No. I just watched. She exhaled. A little. Progress already. Don't get used to it. Dinner went well, and for the first time, Claire talked about things before they became problems. I didn't like the waitress flirting with you. I smiled. What? Nothing. It's just the first time I've ever heard you say that. I'm not going to make a scene. You don't need to. But I was jealous. Thank you for saying it. She looked at me. This is weird. What? Apparently you can just say things. Revolutionary technology. She hit me with her napkin. My first new date with Maya was louder. She picked a live music bar. An hour in. I'm still angry you look good. We covered that. Still true. She was easier, but there was new honesty there too. I'm scared your connection with Claire is deeper. It's different. Diplomatic. True. And with me? I looked at her. With you, I laugh more. She froze. Is that good? Very. She smiled. Good answer. Then came dates as three. The first was a disaster. Restaurant. Both of them trying too hard to be polite. Claire. Maya, would you like to try this? No, thank you. 10 minutes later. You can have some. No, it's fine. I said, you two can just talk normally. Both. We are. No. Maya looked at Claire. He's right. Claire. I hate that. Maya. Same. After that it got easier. They started joking, arguing, sometimes teaming up against me. Very quickly, we discovered Maya and Claire had chemistry of their own. Not immediately sexual. At first, just unexpected closeness. Claire helped Maya prepare for a major presentation. Maya dragged Claire out of the house when she was working too much. One day, Maya arrived, saw Claire with a new haircut, walked over, kissed her cheek. Pretty. Claire froze. Maya asked, "What?" "Nothing." From the kitchen, I said, "Am I the third wheel now?" Both at once. "Yes." "Great." Claire was still slightly red a minute later. Maya noticed, smiled. "Oh." Claire, "Don't." "Interesting." Maya. I said, "Now I understand how everyone in the office felt." Both looked at me. Quiet. Several months later, we officially considered ourselves a three-person relationship. Not perfect, but honest. Work became interesting too. Rumors appeared, of course. Not about Claire, she was external, but about Maya. Someone said she got a major client assignment because she was dating me. She came into my office angry. "You heard?" "Yes. I'm handling it myself. I haven't said anything yet." "But you were going to." "Yes." She sat. "Don't." "It isn't true." "I know. I can talk to the director." "Not as my boyfriend." I looked at her. She continued. "You formally have no authority over my career." "Exactly. So I'll document my results and talk to leadership myself." I nodded. "Okay. You're not offended?" "By what?" "That I don't want your help." "No. Dating a mature man is inconvenient." "My condolences." She smiled. Maya really did handle it herself. Presented results, metrics, client emails. HR confirmed reporting structure. The rumors died. I was proud of her. Only said, "Good work." She replied, "Only good?" "Excellent." "Better." Claire was changing too. One evening, she came in, put down her bag. I was offered a position in Chicago. In the past, I would have learned that after the papers were signed. Now she said it immediately. I asked, "Do you want it?" "I don't know." Maya from the couch. "Then we talk." Claire took off her shoes. "I hate our healthy relationship." I said, "Too late." We discussed it, didn't decide for her. Claire ultimately declined. Not because of us, because the role was too sales-heavy and she wanted strategy. A month later, she got a better promotion locally. The hardest problem came from exactly where I expected. Claire. She started saying, "I'm fine." At first, rarely, then more. I noticed. Maya did too. Claire stayed at work longer, came over less often. If Maya and I laughed in the kitchen, Claire smiled, but looked slightly distant. One evening she said, "I'll stay at my place tonight." I looked at her. "Why?" "Tired." Maya was also watching. "Claire, what? Everything okay?" Answer, "Yes." Maya and I said simultaneously, "No." Claire closed her eyes. "Seriously?" I said, "That's your everything is fine voice." Maya, "I hate that voice." Claire, "I'm just tired." "Okay," I said. "You don't have to talk now." She relaxed. I continued, "But you're not pretending there's nothing there." She tensed again. "Nathan, when you're ready, we talk." She left. Came back one day later, on her own. Sat across from us, silent for a minute. Then, "I'm afraid one day you'll realize I'm unnecessary here." Maya opened her mouth, closed it. I didn't interrupt. Claire continued, "You two laugh easily." Claire, "Wait." Maya stopped. "You say something." Maya immediately answers. "You argue. Fix it. It's all very natural. Sometimes I feel like I'm just..." She looked down. "Like what?" "Like the two of you would be easier." Maya stared. "You're serious?" Claire nodded. Maya stood, went into the kitchen. Claire looked at me, startled. 1 minute later, Maya returned holding a mug. Set it in front of Claire. "Drink." Claire looked down. "What is this?" "Your terrible tea." "It isn't terrible." "Exactly." Maya sat. "I spent a week learning how to make it correctly." Claire blinked. Maya said, "I would not do that for someone I didn't want here." Silence. Claire looked at the tea, then at Maya. Her eyes became wet. Maya immediately said, "Don't cry. I'm bad at this." Claire laughed. I said, "You're not extra." She looked at me. "And if any of us ever stops being okay in this relationship, we talk. We don't disappear." Maya, "Rule number 1. Claire, I thought rule number 1 was no investigating female co-workers. I said, "That's specifically your rule." Maya laughed. Claire did too. The tension disappeared. Physical intimacy between all three of us happened much later. Not because no one wanted it. There was desire, especially after Claire and Maya developed romantic chemistry with each other too. But I didn't want a situation where one person did something only for me. One night, we were sitting at home. Maya said, "I want to ask something." Dangerous opening. Claire, very. Maya looked at both of us. "I want us all to stay together tonight." I understood. Claire did too. I asked, "Claire?" Slowly. "I do too." "Not because you think I'll like it." Claire, "You will like it." Maya, very confident man. I said, "That wasn't the question." Both women became serious. We talked, as always. Boundaries, what each person was comfortable with, what they weren't. Nobody owed anything. Anyone could stop. 10 minutes in, Maya said, "I understand why this conversation matters, but you really are a manager everywhere." Claire, "I find it attractive." I looked at her. That's not helping. The evening was warm, intimate, sometimes funny. No competition. No need for anyone to win attention. That was the most important part. Later, we lay together. Maya said, "Okay." I asked, "What's okay?" Now I understand why we didn't want to choose. Dangerous wording. Claire said, "She isn't wrong. You're both terrible." Maya, "But voluntarily yours." I said, "We discussed the wording." Claire, half asleep. "Voluntarily ours. Worse." 1 year later, Pierce Retail became one of the company's most successful launches. I was promoted to Senior Operations Manager. At the celebration, Jake stood beside me holding a drink, looked toward Claire and Maya by the bar. They were talking. Maya said something. Claire laughed. Jake asked, "Do you understand how insane your life is?" "Yes." 2 exes. "Yes." Returned. "Yes." Worked with you. "Yes." Both dating you again. "Yes." He looked at me. "And a little bit each other?" I took a drink. Not discussing it. Jake slowly smiled. "So yes. Go home." "You're my hero." "No." Especially after the chill ex. I looked at Claire. She had just noticed a woman who had come over to talk to me at a previous event. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "She's working on herself." Jake said, "You sure?" "Relatively." 2 years later, the three of us lived together. Not immediately. At first, everyone kept separate places. Then we realized half our clothes were migrating between 3 addresses. We rented a large house closer to downtown. 3 bedrooms. 1 became an office. 1 became a guest room. 1 we used. Domestic life became its own challenge. Maya left mugs everywhere. Claire hated clutter. I tried to introduce a system. Maya, "You are not the manager at home." Claire, "Completely agree." I said, "Then who is?" Both. "No one." Very efficient structure. Claire, "Your position has been eliminated." Maya, "Collective governance. We'll survive a week." We did. Much longer. Claire was still jealous. She just said it now. Sometimes. For example, I'd be leaving in the morning. She'd ask, "Late tonight?" "About 8. "Who's the meeting with?" I looked at her. Immediately. Professional question. Maya shouted from the kitchen, "She's lying." Claire, "A little." I said, "Trust." She inhaled deeply. "Working on it." "Thank you." 5 seconds later. "But who?" "Meridian Group." "The woman from procurement?" I just stared. Claire lifted both hands. Done. Quiet. Maya, "Progress." Or Maya would walk over in the evening. "I need attention." "Now?" "Yes." Claire from the couch, "You had 20 minutes earlier." Maya, "Stop keeping statistics." Claire, "Too late." I said, "This is why I rejected a shared calendar." On Friday, Maya announced, "We have a date." "Who?" "All of us." Claire, "I made a reservation." "Without me?" Both. "Yes." I looked at them. "Why am I even a manager?" Maya, "At work." Claire, "Here you're decorative. Lovely. But one thing amused me more than anything. Years ago, Jake once asked, which girlfriend was the most jealous? I answered, Maya. Claire doesn't get jealous at all. That sentence haunted me. One evening we were at home. I was working on my laptop. My phone lay on the table. The screen lit. Message from Jessica in analytics. Great presentation today. The client loved it. I didn't even pick it up. Claire sat about 10 feet away. Her eyes immediately dropped to the screen. Then me. I said nothing. She slowly raised both hands. I am completely calm. Maya looked over. You read that from there? Good eyesight. I said, chill X. Claire narrowed her eyes. I was chill. No. Fine, she thought. I pretended very well. That's true. Maya was already laughing. Claire stood, walked over, wrapped her arms around me from behind. But I didn't ask anything. Proud of you. And I'm not going to look up Jessica. I turned my head. You know her last name? Silence. Maya stopped laughing. Looked at Claire. Claire. Maybe. I said, Claire. She's in the corporate directory. You searched? No. Maya. Let me guess. Accidentally saw it. Claire. Yes. I said, phone. She asked, why? Curious. No. Maya stood. Show us. Claire backed away. That violates my privacy. I started laughing. Now you remember boundaries? She finally smiled too. Maya came over from the other side, wrapped an arm around me. I was trapped between them. You realize this looks like an ambush? Claire said calmly, it is. I pointed at her. There. That is your real personality. She kissed one cheek. Maya kissed the other. Possessive women. Claire. Voluntarily possessive. That does not improve the phrase. Maya. I like it. Of course. At one point, I thought the greatest mystery of my relationship with Claire was why a woman who never got jealous had let me go so easily. Turns out she didn't let go. At all. She simply believed loving someone meant never showing how terrified you were of losing them. She never checked my phone, never forbade friendships, never caused scenes, never asked me to stay. But she noticed every woman who looked too long, remembered names, likes, restaurants, my habits, dental appointments, and somehow considered herself calm. Maya was the complete opposite. If she was jealous, she said so. If she missed me, she called. If she loved someone, eventually she shouted it directly into their face. I used to think one of them was too emotional, and the other was perfectly composed. Turns out, both were afraid of losing people. They just handled fear in opposite directions. Then came the strangest part. Instead of destroying each other in a war over an ex, they talked. Discovered they liked each other, first as people, then a little more. And one day, they arrived at my apartment with a proposal I had definitely not expected to hear from two ex-girlfriends at once. Fortunately, by 29, I had enough experience managing crises not to respond. Great. 2 girlfriends. Instead, we spent several hours discussing boundaries. Maya still calls it the least sexy beginning to a relationship in history. But that was why it worked. Nobody belonged to anyone. Not Claire, not Maya, not me. Nobody gained the right to control another person simply because they loved harder. Nobody became a prize. We just kept choosing this strange arrangement every day. Sometimes very strange. Especially when Claire accidentally knew too much. I looked at both women. By the way, Maya. What? Who told Claire Jessica's last name? Maya immediately looked away. I froze. Maya. Claire started laughing. You? Maya. Maybe. Why? She asked. Why did you answer? Maya. I wanted to see what would happen. I covered my face. Claire. I didn't do anything. That is a low standard. Maya. But she passed. You're both terrible. They looked at each other. Then simultaneously, we know. I shook my head and thought maybe management had prepared me for this better than I realized. At work, I managed 23 employees, multiple vendors, and clients who changed requirements at 5 on Friday afternoon. At home, I had 2 ex-girlfriends, one loud, impulsive, and now surprisingly mature. The other, outwardly calm, exceptionally intelligent, and equipped with the memory of an intelligence operative whenever another woman entered my orbit. And somehow, home was significantly harder to manage. Probably because Maya was right. The position had been eliminated here a long time ago. Claire stepped closer. You're thinking again. Yes. About what? How wrong I was about you. Her smile appeared. About what exactly? She doesn't get jealous. Maya started laughing again. Claire looked at her, then me. I really am very calm. I said nothing. She lasted about 3 seconds. Then, I just like knowing where the competition is. Claire. Joke. Pause. Mostly. Maya collapsed onto the couch, laughing. I looked at the ceiling. Yeah. Turns out my chill ex was a yandere all along. It just took her 18 months, another ex-girlfriend, and one corporate crisis to finally learn how to say it out loud.
Coffee waiting on my desk, same blue tie around my neck. 18 months you walk right in, like you never really left. You know when I don't eat. You know when I don't eat. You know where I've been. Say you're over me with that little innocent grin. You call it memory, I call it something more. You knew every girl before she reached my door. You knew all along, every name, every song, every time somebody looked my way. You were playing it cool while breaking every rule, keeping every little detail safe. You said you weren't jealous, baby, that's a lie. You knew all along, you just hit it better than I. You just hit it better than I. Now you're standing next to her, fire meeting frozen nerves. Two old flames inside one room, and somehow I'm the one who burns. Maybe love looks different when you're scared to let it show. You never asked me to stay, you just never let me go. You knew all along, every right, every wrong, every piece of me you couldn't erase. Now you finally say it, no more trying to fake it. I can see it written all over your face. You said you weren't jealous, baby, that's a lie. You knew all along, and God, I kinda like that side.